Hi, my name's Dr. Tanya Coffey, and I'll be your instructor for Physics 2010. I'm really excited to be teaching this course, even if it isn't face-to-face altogether like I'd hoped it would be. Let me introduce myself and tell you a little bit about myself. I've been at APPS since about 2004. I'm a full professor here. I got my PhD from North Carolina State University. I do nanoscience research. I specifically work with a lot of microscopes, scanning electron microscopes and atomic force microscopes specifically to analyze materials for all kinds of different problems and questions. Anyway, that's a little bit of background on me and what I like to do. Let me go over some of the stuff about our course. So this is a screenshot of our As You Learn page. You should check your As You Learn page a lot. This is where I'm going to post all the online course materials and such. The best way to get in touch with me is probably with email. I do respond really quickly, usually, unless I'm absolutely swamped, but I do respond quickly within one business day, I promise, to Class Matters. My email is coffeets@appstate.edu. That's COFFEY, so it's like the drink, but spelled different, to quote the Green Mile there. I will expect you to check your email, so you'll be responsible for the emails that I send out in the class, especially since we're not meeting face-to-face frequently. This is going to be super important. So make sure to check your email. Even if you're one of those folks that prefers not to, you're going to have to, okay? I'm going to use our As You Learn course page to send out class announcements and other important things that you might need to know. And then that As You Learn page will forward it to your App State email address. When you do meet with me face-to-face, we're going to be in Garwood 150. Our normal class times are Mondays from 10 to 10:50 and Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:30 to 10:45. Now, this takes a little bit of getting used to because we're kind of spanning two different class times there. So just be aware of that. I'm going to have office hours virtually this year. Thank you very much, COVID, right? I'm going to have office hours every weekday from 3 to 3:30, and then on Fridays from 10 to 11. And then if you can't make those times for whatever reason, you can always email me and we can do it by appointment. I'm going to hold my office hours virtually in my personal Zoom room, and I'll show you how to access that link in a minute. Our text for the course is Matter and Interactions, the 4th edition by Shabay and Sherwood, and it should be available through the textbook rental system. And then, of course, you should have had a 1000 level physics class before coming here, and you should have had Calc 1 and Calc 2, and either finished or be working on currently Calc 3. Okay? So let's go over our syllabus here. So here we go. Our Zoom rooms, I'll show you the links, but if you like to just do the numbers in the Zoom app itself, then there's my personal Zoom room where the office hours will be held, and then I'll have a Zoom room for the class. Since apparently that's a thing now, people drop in on Zoom rooms and interrupt meetings for fun because I guess they're super bored. There is a password to get into the class Zoom room, and that one's 2010-101, which is just our course number and section number. Okay. All right, so we're going to be doing classical physics in this course. Physics 2010 is mostly going along with the types of information given in Physics 1. So it's motion, forces, things like that. And then Physics 2 is mostly electricity and magnetism. Now, Physics 1150 taught the topic at an introductory level. So I am going to assume that there's some physics that you kind of know, and I'm not going to introduce the material in the same way that you would have seen in your 1000 level physics class. The goal here is to shoot higher, okay? So The ultimate goal is to unify everybody under one big umbrella so that they have the same set of information going on into other physics classes, so that, you know, we can assume that you really do understand motion, electricity, and magnetism at a level that you would need in order to master it at an undergraduate level. So we'd like to get everybody on the same page, okay? So to do that, we're going to apply the basic theories of classical and solving problems, and we're also going to be doing some coding, okay? Don't panic. Get your towel and don't panic, pardon me if you don't like science fiction. Recognize the importance of classical physics and technology, and then practice analytical problem solving and coding in order to improve, okay? So, you're going to have to watch the online lectures, read the textbook, participate in discussions, and complete your homework and study in order to achieve all of those objectives. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about class logistics. The face-to-face meetings. This is a web-based hybrid course, okay? So since it's a hybrid course, then that means that we're going to have both online and face-to-face components, including rotating student groups, okay? What that means, or the reason for all that, is of course that there's these social distancing guidelines that we have to abide by that are set by the state, okay? Now, that means that our classroom, Garwood 150, is too small to hold all of you all at once. There's just too many of you to fit in the classroom and still stay a safe distance apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to break into 4 groups, and you're going to be assigned certain days to attend a face-to-face class. And you can talk to me at those times and see me in person then. The rest of the time, you're going to be online and doing work online. Okay? Now, for the face-to-face classes, I promise I will broadcast those on Zoom, broadcast all of them. And then that means that if you want to, you can join even if it's not your scheduled day. You can, you know, show up for the Zoom lectures and sit there and ask questions just like you were face-to-face, and it'll be fine, okay? Now, to help that along, for the face-to-face lectures, I'm going to be using an iPad for in-class notes rather than the chalk or a whiteboard, and I'll be sharing my screen. And then that way, everybody, even those folks on Zoom, can see what my notes are. And I'll share those notes online so that you can have them for yourself. Okay, what are we going to do in the face-to-face meetings? Well, I don't want to lecture on topics during those face-to-face meetings since not everybody is going to be able to attend everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lectures online on any new material. That will be done online. And when we're face-to-face, we're going to be more interactive. We're going to work problems, discuss homework, do some review. I'm not going to be lecturing on new material at that time, although I might give homework hints or help do extra examples or problem solve, okay? So that's what's going to be happening in the face-to-face meetings. I'm going to post the lectures to YouTube, not the face-to-face meetings, but the lectures will be posted to YouTube. So that's the 2 different media. Now, absolutely, you do not have to physically be there at the face-to-face meetings. I'm not going to grade attendance. So there is absolutely no reason for you to come to campus physically if you're sick or if you're worried about COVID and you have a health condition or something and you don't want to be face-to-face. You don't have to come, okay? You never have to walk into a classroom or come to campus for Physics 2010. I'm not going to make you. Virtual attendance will work just fine, okay? Having said that, I do want you to attend at least your face-to-face day virtually and make sure that you keep up, okay? So just because I'm not requiring you to physically come doesn't mean that I don't want to interact with you and I'm not asking you to interact with me. All right, so each face-to-face class, I'm going to put a hard limit of 13 students to attend. That's to maintain our social distancing guidelines. If folks aren't going to show up, if I know folks aren't going to show up, you can request to come to another face-to-face class if you'd like. But please do request and email me, and I'll check and see if I've got a seat, okay? All right, we're going to be doing a lot of homework. It's just the way it is. The only way to really know physics, the only way to really learn it is to do, okay? Learning is doing in physics. It's a lot like math that way. So we're going to be doing a lot of homework problems, probably, and I should have said 8 to 10 problems per week, not per chapter, but that's going to be more like that. And we're also going to be doing some coding. Now, the coding is going to be using a programming language called Python, which I discuss a little bit more in more depth later. And then the written homework, we're going to have that uploaded to As You Learn. Okay, so you're going to have problems that don't have anything to do with coding and are more like traditional physics analytical problem solving type problems. And then you can write those out and then we'll upload them onto As You Learn for your homework. You'll also have some VPython coding questions that you're going to share with me. And that will also be considered part of your grade. Okay, you get 1 drop on your written homework and 1 drop on your VPython homework. Okay, so required technology. This is a web-based hybrid course, so you absolutely have to have access to the internet with a reasonable download speed. Okay, sorry, there's just no getting around it. We're going to make most of the activities asynchronous, but we are going to have some synchronous face-to-face course meetings that I just talked about. And if you want to request a synchronous meeting for homework help, you can do that. You can request it if it's outside my office hours, of course, but then office hours are open to anybody. So we're going to be using Zoom, so that's a required technology there. The online lectures are going to be posted to YouTube. I do already have a pretty extensive YouTube channel called Tanya Coffee. I know it's not very original. And I'm going to provide the links to those YouTube videos as they're created on our As You Learn course page. Now, some of you may be grumbling about the computer programming thing, but I'm going to quote a Reddit user here, an anonymous Reddit user, because I can't say it better myself. Computer programming in the sciences is a lot like being able to read, write, and do math. You can certainly get through life without it, but being unable to do it is going to close a lot of doors for you. You'll benefit in essentially every career path in physics if you can do computer programming, even the ones that don't strictly require it. It allows you to do visualization, data analysis, and mathematics in a way that's either extremely time-consuming or impossible to accomplish otherwise. Okay? So, you're going to be learning to use VPython. Okay. Now, VPython is we're going to be doing the coding on a free web-based platform. And so you're not going to have to purchase access or buy a compiler to do the assignments. That's fine. It's fine if you don't have that. Prior knowledge of programming isn't necessary to succeed. Okay. And Matter and Interactions has a pretty gentle introduction to coding in VPython. So please don't panic. Right? To quote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, don't panic and get your towel. You'll be just fine. Okay? So your programs, some of them are going to allow you to just alter existing code rather than start from scratch, and others are going to be so simple, very simple and straightforward with examples. And as always, I'm really willing to help. So don't worry about that. We're going to be focusing on using coding to solve problems and understand physics. We're not really going to be learning all the ins and outs of how coding works. Okay, so I'll save that for the computer science classes if you'd like to take them. All right, I'm really going to harp on this a lot, but I really want you to read the textbook. I've taught classes before, and then I've pointed out to students, oh, did you read the textbook, blah, 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 and they're like, no, I didn't read the textbook, and that kind of frustrates me. I mean, we bought it. It's not just a paperweight, so make sure you read it. It also has a lot of good worked examples and things in there, so you can supplement the examples that I do with the examples in the textbook, and between all those things, you should be able to get through it pretty well, okay? To make sure that you're keeping up, especially since we're not meeting face-to-face, I'm going to give you online conceptual quizzes, okay? Now, these online conceptual quizzes are going to be short answer, numerical, multiple choice, and true-false, and they're just to make sure that you're doing the reading and watching the lectures, okay? So it's kind of like attending class in a way. The online conceptual quizzes are going to assess whether you're doing the minimum, okay? For those, I'm going to post those quizzes to As You Learn, and you'll have 2 tries for the numerical and the multiple choice ones. And of course, if it's true-false, you just get 1 attempt. So those are going to be administered through the online quiz tool and graded automatically. And so you'll be able to keep up with your quiz grade pretty easily. For testing, more rigorous testing, we're going to have 2 tests and a final exam that we're going to be doing throughout the semester. I usually give 3 tests, but since online testing is kind of a pain in the patoot, I decided I would cut back on the number of tests to make sure that we're not too taxed here. So if you are going to come face-to-face, then you can take the tests face-to-face in your face-to-face time. If you don't want to take the test face-to-face, then you can do them in a synchronous online Zoom meeting. We're going to be doing those during our regularly scheduled class times. Now, if you want to take the test online, I have absolutely no problem with that. I think it's great. However, to discourage cheating, I am going to require you to take those tests in front of your computer with the web camera on, okay? And that's just so that I know that you're not sitting there and, looking up the answers somewhere. I just want it to be fair, and this is one way that I have to ensure that it's fair. All right. Now, your testing is just going to be on your analytical physics knowledge. It's not going to be on coding. So your coding will not be tested in these tests. The test of coding is just whether or not your code runs. Okay. All right, so that goes over the major sections in how your grade will be determined. So here's the breakdown in the weighting. Your tests are going to be 30%, and then your final will be 15%. So each of the tests counts 15%. Remember, we're having 2 tests and then a final exam. So each one of those things counts 15%. Your homework is going to be 30% of your grade. Now, that's the written analytical physics homework, okay? That's 30%. The VPython coding is going to be 10% of your grade. And then the quizzes, the please keep up with the material, numerical, short answer, true, false question stuff, that's 15%. Okay, so that's the breakdown of all your grades. Since we are online a lot, I want you to remember that you may be communicating with other students and me online, and so please be a nice person. The please be a nice person on the net rules are summed here. It's called netiquette. This is comes from Virginia Shea. So remember that there's a person sitting on the other side of that computer, so don't say anything online that you wouldn't say to somebody's face in real life. Also know where you are in cyberspace, and this is for your protection as much as anything else. Respect other people's time and bandwidth. I like a good cat video as much as the next person, but maybe our course forums aren't the place to share them. Make yourself look good online. Be professional, in other words. Share expert knowledge, right? But that doesn't mean insulting someone. If you think that you have an answer to a question that you want to share with somebody else, great, but don't call them stupid if they don't know that. That's not fair. So keep the flame wars under control. Respect other people's privacy. Don't abuse your power, and be forgiving of other people's mistakes, okay? Now, I'm going to have an online discussion forum for you guys to chat with one another so that you can send out emails to each other, especially since we're not face-to-face. This is a really good way of talking to other people in the class. I am going to monitor them, though, so make sure that you don't break any netiquette rules when you do that. Okay, so then here we have the bunch of stuff that appears on every single syllabus, and you can peruse that if you like. I do want to talk a little bit about food insecurity and also inclusive excellence. You can click on the tabs here. Remember that we have a food pantry in this department. It's located in room 223 in Garwood Hall. So if you don't have enough to eat for any reason, you're welcome to use that food pantry. But please don't take more than you need. Others in need are using the facility as well. Let's see, if you'd like to contribute to the food pantry, if you want to help out, contact Dr. Chris Thaxton at that link right there. He'll be happy to take any donations that you might want to give. And if you have any problems with our food pantry, you can contact Chris Thaxton. Also, be aware that there's other food pantries on campus, and so you can use those as well. Now, let's see, the inclusive excellence. If you don't know this already, I'm the inclusive excellence liaison for the Department of Physics and Astronomy. So If you have issues or questions relating to inclusive excellence, you can always feel free to contact me about those things. But just to summarize, our department is committed to supporting students and fostering an environment that's free of bias, discrimination, harassment in the classroom and in the university community. We strive to model reflection, advocacy, and care for community in order to work towards an equitable, democratic, and sustainable society. We value and demand your participation in this process. And I encourage you to contact me or Jennifer Burris, our department chair, or other faculty if you feel that something is not helping you on this journey. If you'd like to learn more about the university's stand on inclusive excellence or equity issues, then you can access these links here for those. And also be aware that we have an Inclusive Excellence in STEM student club in the department, and so they would love to have your involvement. You can find out about that on our Physics and Astronomy department webpage. Okay, here are the links in this top block here to our class Zoom sessions and to my personal Zoom room. And those, of course, are for the face-to-face remote attendance of the in-person bits and then office hours, respectively. In my personal Zoom room is the office hours. Now, the face-to-face meeting calendar, you might be referring back to this pretty frequently. Since our class is too big to meet all together and still satisfy the social distancing requirements, I've divided you into 4 groups. Garwood 150 is restricted to holding at most 13 students at once, and that worked out well for 4 groups in our class. And so the 4 groups I'm calling Avogadro, Becquerel, Cavendish, and Dewar after some famous classical physicists. And so group Avogadro, if your last name alphabetically falls between Aaron and Davenport, you're in group Avogadro. If your last name alphabetically falls between Dwyer and Kitteringham, you're in group Becquerel. If your last name alphabetically falls between Lavoie and Ray, you're in group Cavendish. And if your last name alphabetically falls between Ryan and Wyatt, you're in group Dewar. And so we're going to rotate through these 4 groups, and the face-to-face meeting calendar is here at this link. And so I've written down for every class day which group is going to be attending. So for the first face-to-face meeting on the 17th, that's group Avogadro. The following Tuesday, Becquerel. Thursday, Cavendish, and so on and so forth. Okay, this does mean that you might go a week without having a face-to-face meeting with me, and I'm sorry for that. That's just the times that we live in. It stinks. I don't like it any more than you do. And I was really looking forward to teaching this class face-to-face, so I'm sorry that I'm not going to get to see your smiling faces. And let's just all cross our fingers for a vaccine so that we can get her done, okay? All right, a few more logistics. As you scroll down in our course webpage here, I'm going to break, the web page is broken down into topics. And so I'm going to put the computational stuff and the physics stuff in different topics as we go down. And so, of course, your first topic right here is beginning computational problem solving. And so you can go through this assignment. I'll be talking more in a lecture, an online lecture about this assignment. I'll prepare an online lecture on that separately, and I'll also be talking about it in the face-to-face meetings. But here's the block for the beginning computational problem solving. And then earlier today, I made our first online lecture, new online lecture for the physics side of it, and that's down here. And so as we add more information, these things will appear in these blocks, and you'll be able to click on links and go through. Okay? Now, I did want to say one thing about our assignments. Those will be accessed on our course webpage. You already have one posted right now. So this is VPython assignment 1. So you can see that it's listed as a quiz, right? So you can, I'm just going to preview the quiz, right? And then what happens is you're going to be writing these programs online, and then all the instruction that you need to do the question is given within the body here. So make sure that you read through this stuff go through and do the assignments as it is. Your VPython work, you'll be doing it online. You'll be doing it online, and then your programs will be shared with me online. You'll get a hyperlink for the question, and then you'll paste it in this text box, and I'll be able to access that hyperlink. Okay? So that's all there is to that, okay? Now, your homework assignments, what you'll have to do is scan them in. There's some nice apps for your phone. If you don't know about them, I can maybe send out a link to a couple of apps for that so that you can actually write out your physics assignments on paper if you like. And then you can scan those in using your phone or a scanner, whatever you have access to, and upload them in that way. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing for that. Okay, I think that wraps it up for the logistics as you see now. You can see here that I've already got a bunch of emails that I've sent out. Upcoming events are shown on the calendar. You can go to the calendar. Those things will be posted as they're due. This will be updated, of course, every time I add an assignment, and you'll be able to see when things are due on the calendar. All right? Okay, well, I look forward to meeting you in person, I hope, in the face-to-face meetings within the next week or two. And if you're going to be all virtual with me, that's absolutely fine. Really, you don't have to come face-to-face, but do please send me an email and let me know if you're going to be all virtual, and I won't expect to see your smiling face in class. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.